Going back to this first story. So the fiance of a Royal Caribbean Cruise Line passenger who died after a drunken rampage almost a year ago says it was the ship's crew that is to blame for his death, and the company needs to pay. A brand new lawsuit claims that Michael Virgil had barely set foot on the Navigator of the Seas when he was steered into a bar and served at least 33 alcoholic drinks. Let me say that again. 33 drinks, at least. Now, Virgil and fiancée Connie Aguilar, they were sailing to Mexico from L.A. with their 7-year-old son. And according to the lawsuit, they were told to wait in the bar while housekeeping finished cleaning their cabin. And the suit says the child got antsy, so he and his mom, they went off to explore the ship, see how the cabin's doing. But by the time Michael left, the suit says he didn't know up from down, that he immediately got lost because he was so intoxicated. And then he got agitated, that he became unruly, and Virgil reportedly attacked two crew members, and apparently video shows him trying to kick down a door where one crew member was hiding. And then things got even worse. The suit claims that security officers tackled Virgil, pinned him to the floor, used their full weight to hold him down, and allegedly they also hit him with pepper spray multiple times and injected him with haloperidol. This is a very powerful sedative. Now, the LA medical examiner ruled Virgil's death a homicide, which just means it was caused by someone else. The specific causes were asphyxia, so Virgil's airway was cut off, obesity, an enlarged heart, and too much alcohol. The family calls the ship's actions reprehensible and negligent, that they are to blame. Royal Caribbean says that it's saddened by the passing of one of its guests, that they have cooperated with the investigation, but they're not releasing more of a statement because there's active litigation. So I want to talk about this. Is there a case? I'm joined right now by attorney Richard Schoenstein. Rich, so good to see you. Thanks for taking the time. Is there a case here? Because someone might say this, wait a second, he voluntarily, right, had 33 drinks. He bought this package where it was seemingly an unlimited amount of drinks he could have. Isn't it his responsibility or no?
Well, Jesse, to figure out if there's a case here, I have to work backwards. The key to this case, as far as I can tell, is cause of death. You just put up a graphic indicating the different factors that went into his death, some of which could have occurred on the ship. There you see it again, and some of which already existed, like obesity and an enlarged heart. These other things, was it asphyxia or was it too much alcohol? What exactly caused his death?
Could it be both?
And then,
if it's both, isn't it all the ship or not? Because the asphyxia was allegedly caused by the people tackling him, and the too much alcohol was, you should have known better. You keep giving this guy drinks?
Yeah, well, I have a little bit of difficulty believing the 33 drink allegation. 33 drinks, really? The guy sat down in a bar on a cruise ship and had 33 drinks? I would want to know more. What kind of drinks were these? Were these real drinks, or are these cruise ship Mai Tais that don't have very much alcohol? I need a little more facts on the 33 drinks, because I have a difficult time believing that anybody can sit down and just down 33 drinks in a row, and that anybody serving someone would let them do that.
Well, how do they prove that? Are there records to establish that? Would it be surveillance footage? Would they be interviewing the bartenders? And if there were different bartenders, I mean, would one know what the other one served him? Or if it's the same person there, that person might be in hot water, or the same people there.
Yeah, there's potential liability. I mean, people have tried to sue bars before, just bars, forget about cruise ships for a minute, but bars and restaurants for overserving people. It's difficult to pin liability on somebody serving alcohol because they don't necessarily know how much the person has consumed, how much they can tolerate, and what kind of condition they're in, and because they're there voluntarily to consume alcohol. So that's a very difficult claim to bring.
Don't they have a responsibility if they're seeing he's getting, let's say, arguably agitated and more uncontrolled, and they would say, wait a minute, we have an obligation, we're serving these drinks, we have a duty to stop, we have a duty to say no more. Isn't that a responsibility, a legal responsibility?
I think it would be, but did this person start acting like this when he was still at the bar, or did he get up, start going to look for his girlfriend and child, and then start kicking doors down, right? how was he acting while he was drinking? And I think looking at surveillance video is a very good idea. I would be surprised if you don't have it on the ship, right? So we can see exactly how much he had and how he acted as he was doing it.
So they're alleging that once he left and became allegedly disruptive and violent, they're alleging that security tackled him, pinned him, and compressed him until he stopped moving. If you're having that coupled with the medical examiner saying this was a homicide, he was killed, the question then becomes, what were the specific actions that crossed the line into, let's say, negligence? What was it that they did that was excessive?
That's exactly right. And if he is out of control, forget about how he got that way for a minute. But if he is out of control, don't the security officers have a duty to other passengers to subdue him and protect the other people on the ship from him? To some extent, they have to get him under control. And the claim is that they over-subdued him. They did too much pressure. And I guess a claim that they gave him drugs or pepper sprayed him.
Yeah.
That might have gone over the line, too.
Yeah, we're talking about pepper spray, haloperidol, that they were all used in one incident. Now, it can't be simple to just say, hey, we'll call police, we'll call medical professionals. If you're on a ship, it's limited and the assistance you could get. But I guess the question becomes, what should they have done in that situation to contain him that wouldn't have allegedly killed him or contributed to this? And that becomes a question. I mean, that combination from the medical examiner, it seems to suggest, is what led to his death.
Right. And expert testimony will be the key to this case. Expert testimony as to the cause of death and expert testimony about security. What is the appropriate response for a ship security officer to somebody acting like this? Was it improper to apply narcotics or to apply pepper spray? Should they have used less force? That's going to be the subject of expert testimony about what is reasonable under the circumstances as they unfolded.
And that's what's interesting, because if you have video of Michael allegedly kicking at a door, attacking crew members, this could be tough to say that what they did was excessive. But then you go back to the medical examiner ruling this a homicide. If that comes into evidence, is that the end of the case? Can they say, medical examiner said that he was killed, of course they're responsible, or no?
I don't know that it ends the case. I mean, medical examiner says it was a homicide, but by whom, right? Who is the medical examiner saying was responsible? It could be collateral estoppel against the ship, I suppose, if it deemed their officers killed him. I don't know exactly what the medical examiner said about it.
Now, the lawsuit says that Royal Caribbean, they failed to train, they failed to supervise their security team. Is that going to be tough to prove?
Yeah, I mean, it may or may not be tough to prove. They're going to get discovery on those issues if the case goes forward. They're going to find out exactly what kind of training the security officers at issue got, if any, or how good it was or how bad it was. And that evidence could lead in a lot of different directions. Maybe it will show that they got plenty of training. Maybe it will show that they didn't get very much training. It depends where the evidence takes you in a case like this.
What are we talking about in terms of damages? I looked it up, and I think they're suing under something called Death on the High Seas Act, which gives you a cause of action, right? You can damages, but I think they're limited to the pain and the suffering that Virgil would have suffered, which, you tell me, what could that amount to?
Well, I don't know. So first of all, I've never litigated on the high seas, so I don't know that particular law. I also don't know, right? Every passenger who gets on a cruise ship signs all kinds of terms and conditions that limit the claims they can have against the ship. I don't know how that's going to impact this. Now, if there was gross misconduct, gross negligence, or intentional misconduct, then a waiver probably wouldn't cover that, but I'm sure the ship is going to argue that there is some kind of waiver. But the answer to your question is, if they overserved him, tackled him, gave him drugs, sprayed him with pepper spray, restrained him, and asphyxiated him, the potential damages are millions and millions of dollars.
And this raises a larger question, other than the heartbreak that this family suffers, right? I mean, if you think about what they had to go through, because it's being reported they had to stay on the ship that his body was in the cooler before it was actually docked. I mean, it's just hard to imagine that. And if you talk about pain and suffering, they might be able to articulate that very well on the stand. Big picture, if a jury finds Royal Caribbean liable, this goes to trial, they find him liable, what is the precedent that this could set for passenger safety, industry-wide? Are there going to be no more unlimited drinks packages, which maybe is not a bad thing?
I don't think so, because I don't think the liability here is just about the alcohol, right? There's the alcohol, and then he goes kind of nuts, and then they try to subdue him, and it seems to be the subduing him that leads to his death, and I think that's where most of the liability is going to be. Bars have been sued for ages for overserving people. There are open bars in all kinds of contexts, cruise ships, weddings, right? All kinds of places have open bars. They're not suddenly going to have a finding in one case that puts an end to the open bar. I don't see that happening. It may make, it may lead the cruise ships to kind of think this through a little bit more, but I don't think it's going to be a complete change of procedure.
So if I'm understanding Rich Schoenstein correctly, these are allegations. This is one narrative. Let's see what the other narrative is. Let's see what the facts might be from both sides, and then we can figure out what's going on. By the way, if this goes to trial and maybe is not dismissed or settled, I think it's just a heartbreaking situation, but an interesting legal case, and we'll keep a careful eye on it. Richard Schoenstein, good to see you. Thanks for taking the time.
Thanks for having me, Jesse.
You got it.